All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Skill Up Show. It's Monday afternoon, that time where we come and skill up ourselves and, of course, skill up our children so that they can navigate the world on their own. My name is Maribel Chima, and in today's episode, we're going to be looking at the role of nutrition, exercise, and sleep in your preteen's health and success in life. A lot of times when we are thinking about this group of children, because your preteens are no longer 6 and 7, 8 anymore, they are now 9, 10 year olds. Okay, a lot of people would want to refer to preteens as children between ages 10 and 12. Okay, I like to put a little allowance there, and I like to refer even to our 8 year olds as preteens, because again, because of how children grow these days, how they get matured these days. So give a little allowance and look at our 8 year olds as preteens, or 9 year olds as preteens, because in many cases, especially for girls, at age 9 they are already 8, even they're already in their pre-puberty stage, and then yes, at 9 some of them are in full puberty stage. So we might as well just categorize them as preteens. Okay, so yes, we're looking at these children ages 8, 9, your 10, your 12 year olds. Right now, a lot of times as parents and caregivers, when we think about this group of children, we don't lay a lot of emphasis on other things apart from their schoolwork and getting them to do well in school. So usually this is the time that they begin to prepare to go you know um to secondary school. Okay, especially if you're from this side of the world. Okay, so I am streaming from Abuja, Nigeria, and yes, I'm talking about back here at home. A lot of times I think it applies even outside this climb. When children are in that phase, they are preparing for secondary school. They are about to start heading out from elementary school to secondary school, right? So you are more focused on, of course, you're more focused on how they're doing in school. Okay, of course, this is also the time that we're beginning to see a lot of behavioral issues coming up, right? The child is becoming more and more autonomous, and so this is the phase where they're trying to exert some of that autonomy. This is the phase where, of course, if they are not skilled, this is the phase where whether they are skilled or unskilled, all right, begins to show up. Your child is 9 and 10, and there are a lot of things they can do for themselves. It begins to show up because at this stage, it's not easy for them to just turn to you, mom, I want this, I want that. Dad, I want this, I want that, and you just leave everything and you're there fixing stuff for them. There are certain things that you would expect them to fix on their own. And so if those skills are not already present, you find that you're already getting frustrated with them, you're already getting angry at the things that they should do for themselves that they are not doing for themselves. So what I'm saying is a lot is going on during this phase of your child's life, at the stage where your child is 8 and 9, 10, 12. All right, even if, for instance, you are still looking at your 8 year old as a school age child, and so the child is still dependent, or highly, relatively dependent. By the time they get to age 9 and 10, there are certain expectations you will have of them. And so that is the phase where when the children are not skilled, right, we begin to get a little of upset and frustrated, right? So basically, as I said earlier, there is a lot going on during this phase of your child's life. You are thinking of them being able to do certain things for themselves. You want a level of independence, you want a level of a level of success when it comes to their schoolwork. And so usually parents don't pay as parents, okay? And even caregivers, right? Even schools usually do not pay attention to other factors that could be responsible or that are very important in the academic and other areas of success. The child's health, the child's academic success, and all of that. So because this group of children are focused, right? So I work with preteens and young children. I run the mastermind circle, a peer mentorship and accountability group. So this group of children, everything that concerns them is my concern, starting with their self-awareness, their ability to direct themselves, take initiative, moving on to their health, their success in every area of their lives, okay, their talent and skills, right? Every aspect of their lives important to us, and that's why we are zooming in on their health and of course nutrition, and all of these things that we tend to neglect in our bid to help them become successful, in our bid to parent them effectively. So let's zoom in on some of these things and see why they are crucial, why they're important in the general success of your child. All right, if you are ready, please come to the comment section. You guys come to the comment section when you come for these sessions, okay? Don't just stay in the background. Say hello. Let us know you are here. If you're catching the replay, share with us where you are watching from, where you are joining us from. Do you have a friend who needs to be here? You have a friend who is a parent of a preteen, even a parent of a school age child, and even a toddler. You don't go to war. I say this all the time. You do not prepare for war on the day of war. Parenting, by now you should know, is war. All right, so you are at war to prepare your child for the future that you do not even have a complete vision or picture of. You are at war to prepare your child to navigate with or without you. You are at war against all of the narratives and all of the convictions that are out there that clearly we know are there to sabotage our children. Okay, so we are at war. All right, good afternoon, Yetunde. How are you doing? All right, so whether we like it or not, we are at war. So we better get ready for this and equip our children, because we have come to realize that that is the only way to do this. Equip the children, because if we want to be the one who man the gate all the time, you may not be there at some time, at some point. Whether you like it or not, dear parents, you won't be there all the time. So while we're manning that gate right now, we want to equip the children so that they can take on the responsibility of navigating through the world and navigating through every aspect of their lives effectively. Emphasis on effectively. All right, so if you have a friend who needs to be here, if you have a friend who has children within this age range, please, why don't you go ahead and tag them right now on Facebook? Just tag them on the stream so that they can join. Share the link on YouTube. And if you are watching on YouTube, you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, or give me, please, why don't you go ahead, click the subscription button so that you can be a part of what we do here, and you get an alert whenever, or notification rather, whenever we come live, if you can click on the notification button. If you are ready, I am ready. Let's move. Okay, we'll try and make this show exactly 60 minutes so that we are here in the night. We're we're out in the next 50 minutes or thereabouts. The human mind, once stretched, is capable of new ideas. It's capable of new ideas. It's capable of, stretching itself beyond what we even think as parents. So our children have the ability to stretch themselves beyond what we even think they can. So a lot of times I say we give them, we don't give them enough credit for what they are capable of. So as far as our children doing well in school, as far as children learning skills is concerned, if we can put the right structure in place, if we can put the right environment in place, if we can create the right kind of stimulation in our environment, if we can be present enough at the time that matters in the first 6 years of their lives, if we can be present with the right knowledge, with the right stimulation in our environment, meaning creating the an excellent environment for your child to learn. If you can be present with the right tools and the right strategy, tendency is, or not just, I mean, you will, right? It's not even guessing. You will position your child with the right structure, with the right knowledge, with the right environment, and the right stimulation in that environment. You will position your child for success as far as academic goes. You will provide the environment for your child to build their character. You will provide the environment for your child to build the moral standards that they need, provided you have your values in that structure. You are modeling the right thing in that system. And of course, you are putting your child in the right environment where your child can thrive. If you have all of these parents, the truth is, when we put this, it is principles, our children will do well. Are they going to make mistakes? Of course, they will make mistakes here and there. They are children, and perfection is not the goal, because we know that there is nothing like perfection. So just like you and I, they will make mistakes, okay? And those mistakes we will create within that structure and the system that we have created. We will create room for our children to make mistakes and then stand up, bounce back from those mistakes and learn from those mistakes. That is actually the essence, right? That's the essence of mistakes. Mistakes are there to help us become better. Mistakes are there to teach us how not to do that same thing the same way, or how to do it differently the next time. All right. So all of this should be put within our system. We should create systems in our home where our children, I mean, that can accommodate our children's own vision, basically. So we should, as families, have visions and create a system that can hold our vision, and within our vision our children are able to come up with their own visions within our vision. If we have all of these in place, our children are ready to throttle. Our children are ready to soar like eagles. Our children are ready with our support. Now, there are certain areas that we must understand that is actually dependent on us, at least for the first, I mean, for the time the children are unable to to take charge of that aspect of their lives. Human beings, we happen to be one of those beings, or one of those higher animals that we are completely dependent on our older ones at the time when we are born. So when your child is born, the child is absolutely completely dependent on you. The child is not like a fish. The child is not like many other animals who just need their parents for a few hours, for a few days, for a few weeks. The child is dependent on you, at least for the first 6 years of their lives, right? Absolutely dependent on you. And then after that, even for the next 18 years of their lives, right? We are told that parenting is at least for 18 years. So our children are still depending on us to learn, right, through what we teach them, what we model to them. They will see the world through our eyes. So your child's first impression of the world is going to be that which they see through you and all that you give them access to, the environment that you create for them and the people in that environment. So basically, our children are they are like flash drives. We say that all the time. They will connect to us as soon as they are born, and they will begin to, download, right? They will begin to upload. Is it upload now? They'll begin to, take in anyway everything they know, how they see the world. They're going to take all of that from us. All right. Now, there are these areas that our children would definitely depend on us for, even if they liked it or not, right? So I have this analogy that I give a lot of the times, and I say, if you take a child today, right, and you put the child in a cave, you put that child in a cave, and what you need, I mean, all you do is come in and drop food for the child, and then come in and ensure that the child is given some medical care. I mean, nobody's smiling at the child, nobody's doing any other thing with the child. You just come there and make sure that the child is healthy and that the child has got food to eat. Do you know that that child will grow? That child will grow. All right, the child will grow, the child will smile, the child will laugh. All of these things are natural, they will come, right? But then again, the child will not have language, the child will not. So there are certain things that the child depends on us. And of course, we know if food is not put in that cave, then the child will not go beyond a certain number of days, right? So, nutrition is one of those things that our children are totally, completely, and absolutely dependent on us, right? For all right, so that's one of the things. And let's start by looking at nutrition first, okay? Now, we see a lot of times because I'm a teacher, right? Because I'm a teacher and I work with children, or I have worked with children in the classroom. Now, you see your 10-year-old comes to school, and the child practically picks, like, the child doesn't eat almost everything. Do you eat this? No. Do you eat that? Now, if you come closer and you ask why the child is not eating this or not eating that, it's not as if the child has any allergy. It's not as if there is anything at all that will happen if the child eats this. The child has just decided that this one does not appeal to my palate. The child has just decided that this one, I just don't like the texture, I don't like this. And so our children pick for themselves what to eat or what not to eat simply because they can. Now, am I saying children should be forced to eat everything? No, that's not what we're saying. But we're saying what is right for the child, right? What is right as far as nutrition goes? What is right for the child? Dear parents, have you created a system that you are ensuring that your young child, remember, they are growing. Your preteen is growing rapidly, right? We are talking about your child who needs all the energy right now. We're talking about the child who is doing a lot of brain, work right now. We're talking about the child that a lot of hormonal, hormonal distortions and all of that is going on within the child. We're talking of a child who needs good nutrition at this point. Are you paying attention to the kind of nutrition that your child is having during this phase? Or are you there giving the child only what the child likes to eat? Oh, my child, he likes noodles. Oh, God. See, when you're in the classroom, you will see all kinds of things. You will see children who come with a particular meal every day. All right. And if this meal is, now we're not talking, for parents, when you're thinking about the aesthetics of these things. You're thinking about, how the food flask and the food you put, how it looks like the child is coming from a home that has enough. Who cares about that? We're talking about what is in that food flask or bowl or whatever. Is it healthy for the child? You will see a child come to school consistently with noodles Monday to Friday simply because the child likes to eat noodles. This is a growing child that we are talking about here. This is a growing child that we're talking about here. How is the child going to eats this kind of meal and then the child's nutritional needs are met? Do we know that the kind of nutrition that our children have contributes to their general output? Do we know this, dear parents? So nutrition fuels the growth of a child. Your preteen requires a balanced diet that is rich in fruits, in vegetables, in whole grains, and of course in lean proteins to support their rapid growth and development. Remember, there is a lot of it going on at this phase. The children have a lot of, hormones are raging left, right, and center because adolescence is here at this point. All right, adolescence is here, and they are dealing with all of that. They're dealing with all of those mood swings and all of that because of all the hormonal, the hormones trying to balance themselves, and all of that. A lot is going on. Apart from that, the child has a lot of pressure from work, schoolwork. Remember, this is usually the phase between year 5 and year 7 or JSS 1. So this is the phase where some of us have them writing 5 common entrances. Some of you, I mean, you have the children going from one school to another extra lesson to another extra lesson. Yes, what is the child eating? The child is eating all kinds of white flour based meals, and all of that, simply because this is what the child likes. Okay, so it's important. Now, some of these things are not the things that just come up or that we deal with when they become preteens. These are the things that we need to deal with right from when they are a lot younger, right? So that's why I say this program is also for your toddler parents or parents of school age children, because if you get it right during the time that your child is a toddler, you introduce your child to the right kind of nutrition at that time, and then you insist. They may not like certain meals, but you can introduce them in ways that the children will like them. All right, I remember back then, in fact, my children, I hardly had a time where my children did not like fruits or vegetables, because it was a given for us. So as soon as our kids can eat solid meals, we actually start pureeing, right? I start pureeing, the vegetables, all kinds of vegetables. I pureed cucumbers, and so I pureed broccoli, and provided it is safe for the child, right? Sometimes even we didn't even know some of these things, some of them that were not okay at the time and all of that. But for the best, of what I knew at the time, right? These vegetables are natural. So at least, even if you make mistakes with them, it won't be as bad as when you make mistakes with the processed things, right? So yes, so we pureed broccoli, and then of course some of these vegetables are not exactly exciting. So you want to pair them with the things that are exciting. You want to pair your broccoli with probably ice fish, and all of that. Just look around you, parents. Let's get creative. I'm not a foodie per se, right? I'm not a foodie per se, so I can't come here and start giving you menus and all of that. I know, if you go online, I know is it Choma Mama? She has one menu thing. My friend Oge has a cookbook, right? What's it called again? J lunch box, something like that. Just check around you. There are a lot of these things, resources that you can tap into, just because you understand the place that this has in your child's growth and success. Because you understand this, so go the extra mile to do some of these researches, right? So that you know what it is that the children are having. All right, now a good way to ensure that this also works is to come up with a menu. If you have children, preteens already, why don't you have a menu? Sit down with them and create a menu together. Now, in that menu, put a bit of excitement and the things that they do not consider as excitement. Put them side by side. So the day the child is going to have, like, okay, there's some things that you should take away from your from their menu totally. Okay. And if you take them away totally, I'm not a nutritionist, so I'm not here to advise you on what is good or what is not good. Okay, but what I'm saying is, or what meals are perfect or not. Okay, so I don't have that knowledge per se. But then again, parents, we can look at the things that our children need. At least that one I know. We know that our children need whole meals. We know that our children need fruits and vegetables. We know that our children need to drink lots of water. You want to incorporate that into your system. You want to incorporate that into your routine. In your routine, have the time where they take a glass of water. Let it be a part of the routines, because we are foundation builders. So we want to ensure that the habits that we want to see our children live with, we are the ones who introduce them to those habits early. Okay. And that's the thing about introducing them early. The tendency is they will become default. When you introduce these things early, they become a part of the children. Your job is to create consistency around it. Your job is to make sure that this is done regularly by way of practice. Your job is to make sure that this is repeated by way of practice. It is the repeating and the consistency that makes it a part of the child's life. So much so that after the child has done this, throughout, a whole year or 2 years or something like that, it becomes a part of the child. Okay. That's why we also say to you, if you're parents with preteens, why are your children not setting goals already? In the mastermind, the moment you come in, the first thing you do, okay, the mastermind is our peer mentorship and accountability group that we run for children and preteens. We get you to set goals when you join the mastermind circle, okay? And we have 10 focal areas in the mastermind circle that we train the children along. So when the children come, we make them, at least we point them to these 10 different areas, and we help them understand why these areas are important. They include areas like, self-management, home management, okay? Self-management, home management, kingdom life, that's your religion and spirituality, whatever it is, whatever religion you belong to. But we make you understand that this aspect of your life is very important. Academics, we make you know that this is important. Financial skills, very, very key. All right. Emotional and social intelligence, we point you to these things. Reading for leisure, the love for reading, reading for reading's sake, not because you have one exam to write or one exam to pass and all of that. Habit training, we help you understand the place of positive habits in your life. So we create and point the children leadership skills, very important. And then, of course, we point our children to their talents and their interests. We make them understand that your purpose is what you live today, okay? And part of that purpose is what you can do per time. What is God pointing you to do per time? Is you living in the purpose that God has for you at that time? Come on now. See, your children should start having enriching conversations as early as possible. Yes, I'm talking to you. I talk to this children. We're laughing, we're dancing, we're playing, but we're talking sense. Okay, so if your child is not in a peer mentorship, in an accountability group, if your child does not have a mentor yet, and I'm talking about your 5-year-old, your 6-year-old, your 12, your 13-year-old, parents, do them the favor of putting them in systems where they begin to hear the right thing. You are sowing seeds. It's not everything that is about results today. Some things we would have to sow seeds for that will germinate or will manifest in weeks and months and years to come. All right, but what we need to do is get opportunities, see opportunities, key into those opportunities, and allow our children start growing. I have a 15-year-old son that can sit through any, as when I say any kind of conference or whatever session, right? My 15-year-old will sit. I'm not talking about pressured to sit through it. I'm not talking about forced to sit through it. My 16-year-old would actually see an advert for a conference or something that is going on that is going to teach something in an area that he's interested in, and he would ask if I could enroll him for it. He will be in a session for 3-4 hours if he has to, with little breaks here and there. All he needs is a snack here and there, and he's there, he's listening to keynote speakers, he's listening to people, he's taking notes, and then he's having conversations about this. You think it's by magic. No, it's not by magic. It's simply because he started doing this early. We introduced him to mentorship early. We introduced him to personal development, and of course, personal development and of self-fulfillment as early as possible. So these things are not, for him, it's the why that he's driven by. Why do I need to be in that class? So even when I tell him about a session or a class that I would like him to be a part of, the question he asks is, what is it about? You tell him what it's about, he weighs it and he sees if he needs it. If he doesn't need it, he says, can I pass? I don't think I don't think that's what I need right now. Or I don't think, but chances are most times he's just ready to learn. So if you're going to raise a lifelong learner, if you're going to raise a child that is open to learning, if you're going to raise a child that is open to ideas and listening to perspectives active, then you need to get them in that space early. If you don't get them in that space early, what will happen is your child will only be able to sit to the things that are entertaining. So it has to be TV, it has to be a show, it has to be dancing, it has to be something that is dopamine pumping and adrenaline pumping in their system for them to sit. If not, they are bored. Everything is boredom to them. That's why you can't even get your 16-year-olds, or we can't get a lot of our 16-year-olds to join mentorship programs for longer than 2 days or 2 weeks. They are frustrated, they are upset, they are angry, they're giving you so much stress because it is alien to them, and now they don't have the capacity, or I mean, not that they don't have, they can't do it because it's not normal to them. So yes, they are bored because this is not their thing. Online games and things like that. So your children will spend 4, 5, 6 hours doing things that add no value to their life. Get them to sit for something that can be valuable for 5 minutes. It's a problem. It's a lot of fights, bad talk, talking back, and all of that, talking under their breath, getting upset with you. And these are the issues. So these are the things. So get them in that space as early as possible, dear parents, so that we don't have to struggle about this thing. So back to nutrition. All right. So this is it. The next one is brain power boosting. When children eat the right kind of food, okay, essential nutrients like omega-3. Okay. So these are the issues. Essential nutrients like omega-3 acid, are good for brain functioning, cognitive development, and then of course in helping them regulate their mood. So you want to ensure that their meals have some of these, nutrients within, present in them. So you can't do this by just rustling anything and throwing at them. You can't do this by having them have noodles Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You can't do this by having them have bread. These children these days, you have 5 loaves of bread in these days. That bread is how much? How much is it? 2,000, 3,000. You will have them have how many loaves of bread in the space of 1, 2 days? If you leave them, that's all they will eat. All right. So these are the issues. Of course, it's a source of energy. The right combination of food, the right combination, the right nutrients combination, of course, will, ensure that our children have proper, the energy that the proper thing that they need to sustain their energy. Okay, so you will have the food, the nutrients in the right proportion that can sustain their energy, okay? The energy that they need for physical activities, for academic activities, for social activities, and all of that. If we don't know these things, you will realize that you are giving your children the wrong kind of food at the wrong time. That's why a child will go and be looking for, fizzy drinks to drink at 9 p.m. in the night, when the child should actually be heading to bed. The child is looking for what will pump, sugar into their system. So when we become intentional around these things, we realize that we're pointing our children to the right kind of nutrition. But nutrition, or the need for a balanced diet or proper nutrition, cannot be overemphasized. I have a friend that has, a child that is unique, and of course her meals and her nutrients are totally different. I see this woman, hey God, I see the energy that she puts into the child's meal, and this is what I do to her. Right? Say, and parents, people are intentional. People are intentional. Some of you, all we need to do, or all you need to do, is just make sure that the child has got, fruits and vegetables. The child is not packing sugar into their bodies up and down the place. The child is not having meals that are packed with fats and oils. See, our own is just to your own is just to ensure that the child is, eating something that is healthy, at least, to the barest minimum. And that's an issue. There are people that there are certain things that the child will eat, and that is enough to destabilize the child for hours, for days, for weeks. Yet these people can sit down and work and create something that is, something that is empowering and sustaining for their child. Yes, just small basic this and that is a problem for us. So we need to do better. We need to think of loving our children, right, beyond just buying them pizza. We need to think of loving our children beyond the fact that you drive them to their games. We need to think of loving our children beyond the fact that we are ready to go and fight anybody, any teacher, anybody who tries anything with our children. We need to get to loving our children by ensuring that we put all the things in place that will help them live, effective, fruitful, and of course, empowered lives. We need to put ourselves in on the line to do the work. Yes, we need to put ourselves on the line to do the work and not just, what do you call it? Not just contract the work, right, to every other person, because that's what we're beginning to do these days. We contract the work to every other person except ourselves and the children themselves. All right, so you have the nannies to make sure that everything that they need for their clothes, for their this, for their that is okay. Right. We have the drivers to make sure that everywhere they need to go is okay. We have people at home to make sure that when they come back home, there is an adult at home. It's okay. We have people at home to make sure that they are there and they study to come up with the A's that that everything is dependent on. So we just put people in place for everything, and then we forget that there are things that we cannot contract, or there are things that we can't, people can't feel it for us. All right, so let's pay attention to the things that people shouldn't feel out for us, and we sit down there and fill those spaces, out ourselves for our children. You get why? All right, as we say in Nigeria parlance. All right, we need to put ourselves on the line to do the work. Thank you very much, Yetunde, our scriber. All right, so thank you very much. So let's move to exercise. Okay, I think I've exhausted nutrition because I know this is usually the issue. All right, some of us, our young children, they just, all they do is pack sugar, sugar, sugar. And now we are always saying, oh, because they are children, they need it, they need it, they need it. We're saying they need it without even looking at some of the patterns in our families. Okay, that's what I have started doing in recent times, looking at the patterns in my family. Go and look closely. There are certain patterns that you have in your family that you don't even know because you have not paid attention. I remember back then, over a decade ago, a friend of mine had been pregnant, and all of that, and at some point she had some complications, and the doctor was asking her, do you have diabetics in your family? Do you have this? Do you have that? And then she said, no, 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 and all of that. But she had and all that. So at the end of the day, by the time an unfortunate situation had happened and all of that, was when she now started learning that, oh, okay, no, it's been there. This person, that person, this person had this, that person had that. Oh, it was only after. What if she had known some of these things before? Could that have helped her to, become conscious, right? To be conscious, about certain things and all of that. So these are the issues. Some of us, we have things that have come up. Our parents passed on because they had certain illnesses. We have certain things that are a pattern that have happened, that have showed up in our family and all of that. We are still living life. I'm not saying we should not faith it and say these things will not, but what are you doing? Faith without works is nothing. What are you doing to ensure that as you have faith, that it is not your portion, you are also doing something, right, that is works, that is actually saying, I will not do what these people whose portion this was, I will not do the things that they did, right? So it is not my portion. You are still doing what they did, meaning you are calling the portion, isn't it? So let's look at the patterns in our families so that we can begin to pay attention to the things that we can do as a result of the knowledge that we have, to ensure that these patterns don't repeat themselves, at least in the life of our children. All right, so this is what we're talking about. You have diabetics in your family. Why are your children all over the place doing the same things that will make them susceptible? Do you understand? That will expose them to the possibility of this, that's what we're talking about. So let's look at this thing so that we can incorporate these into our nutrition plans. That's what we are talking about. Exercise, physical and mental fitness is required for a growing child. So regular activity, not just only, they will not just only strengthen your child's body, but will also improve their mood. It will also reduce stress for the children. It will also enhance their cognitive function and all of this. All right. Some of us, our children cannot even leave the house and come out to the compound. See, it's so crazy. I mean, I'm not even talking of a compound that you live with three, four, or five people. I'm talking of your compound that you live alone. Your child is there. Your toddlers are there. They can't even open the door and go out on their own or go out and play in the compound. You have a problem with everything. Oh, the child will bruise their knee, the child will fall, this one will happen, the lion will jump over the fence. So we have all of these things, and because of that, we're not even allowing our children exercise, right? Do you know that our children need to do all of the running around and jumping for them to actually develop their big muscles, especially in the first 6 years of their lives? So that child that is climbing on the chair in your living room and jumping down, it is not because the child is restless. It is because it is the window period for the child to develop those big muscles. So nature is pulling the child naturally to do this activity because it is God's plan to help the child develop independence. So when your child is jumping, there is no one that taught him. It is nature naturally pulling the child to the activities that the child needs to do in order for the child to prepare themselves to be independent and work on their own. Remember, human beings are one of the only species that that will depend on their older one for a long time. All right. So we do that for a long time. So in those years or in that period, it's a window period for developing the different senses or different parts of the child that the child needs to live a thriving life. So nature is going to pull the child at different points using their senses, their sense of hearing, their sense of touch, their sense of taste. Nature will pull them to certain activities that will help them develop these areas of their life. So it's a natural phenomenon. So that your child is climbing on the bed and jumping, it's not because the girl in the house jumps and it is because nature is pulling the child to do that because the child needs to exercise and develop those muscles. So what do you do? Because it's not safe, because you need to, it's not safe to jump inside the house and all of that. What do? You take the child to an environment where it is safe to jump. You take the child and create an environment that is made for the child to do the jumping. You supervise the child. You watch the child. So, but by all means, you must create a means for the child to do these things, because the child needs to do these things in order for the child to develop. It is a natural something. All right, so it's natural, dear parents. That's what we're trying to say. Very key. So brain development is dependent on exercise also. Exercise will actually stimulate and release the endorphins, which are mood boosting, all right, that would of course affect and promote brain plasticity. So basically, exercise is important for brain development. Exercise is important when children outdoor and children are playing. Okay, when children are outdoor and children are playing, they are interacting. All right, so they are interacting. It is through interaction. The brain is a relational organ. It is through interaction, how you interact with your child. Okay, what you say to your child, how you relate to your child, the emotions that you share, all of that, how you regulate your emotion, that's how your child's brain is developing. Okay, it is said that every time that there is a positive exchange, every time that there is a positive relation going on between the child and their caregiver, there is the hormone that is released in their brain that actually promotes the growth of the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain of the child that is responsible for emotional regulation, for learning, cognitive ability, for making decisions and all of that. So, yes, it is when children jump, when they play, when they do those things that are exciting. And I hope you know that play is the language of the child. Play is the language of love for a child. Play is the language of learning for a child. Play is everything to your child. In fact, play is the job of a child. So the way you wake up and you carry your bag and you go to your office as a banker, as a whatever job you do, it is the same way that your child wakes up and play. Play is the job of the child. And so when they play, they exercise, they move. All right. If the child is not moving, the brain is not developing. The child is supposed to keep moving. So movement is actually how the child develops, a lot of areas of their life. Their big muscles, their fine motor skills, their brain, all of this very important. All right, parents. Okay, the last one we're going to be talking here is also health habits. Okay, so establishing a love for physical activities, of course, will healthy habits, right? When we establish a love for physical activities, you get your child into that place where your child learns to take walks. You take walks in your home once in a week, twice in a week, every evening. Our children love nature walks, our daughter especially. Okay, she loves nature walks. So she will actually come to you and say, can we go for a nature walk today? And when she says she wants to go for a nature walk, I'm not joking, she's actually going for a nature walk, because she will usually just take a jotter with her and a pen, meaning she's looking at everything. She's talking about the chirping of the birds, she's talking about the lizards, she's talking about you, she's talking about everything that she sees. So our daughter is a lover of knowledge, right? She's a lover of knowledge. She wants to know why things happen the way they happen. She wants to know why animals, so she wants to know, she loves to tell you about animals. She loves to tell you, why the dolphin does this. She has all of these facts. And that's because we did a lot of nature work when she was younger. In fact, at some point we pulled her out of school. I didn't say pull your child from school. I'm just telling you some of our experiences. Okay, so at some point we pulled her out of school, all right, and we homeschooled her for 2 straight years. So as part of our routine during homeschooling, between when she was 4 and 5, we went for nature walks. But before then, we actually did a lot of, and maybe also because the first, I mean, we've always had nature walk. Even when she was in her stroller, I will actually put her on her stroller and we will go for nature walks even when she was a little baby. Okay, so I think that just sat in there, right from. So our daughter will tell you about, what to do when a particular kind of animal attacks you. She knows all of that, how to be safe. She will tell you why animals do. In fact, she is such an animal lover, and it's more of the facts about the animals, right, that it is. Anyway, she's been begging to have a pet, a dog, right? So we've not come around to that one. But basically what I'm trying to say is, right, when children are allowed to interact with nature, when you put your children to observe nature, you put them to interact with nature, you put them, okay, when you put them to interact with nature, you put them to, to 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 interact with nature basically, and then you put them to enjoy nature, you actually sowing seeds, right? And so they want to be outdoor, right? They want to go hiking. Children like that want to go hiking, that is exercise. Children like that love to go for strolls, so that is exercise. Children like that want to take walks during the weekend. And then of course the COVID, and the lockdown also helped, right? All those months that we were locked in. So one of the ways that we were using to diffuse was to actually go for those nature walks, or go for those evening walks or morning walks as a family, and and all that. So you want to incorporate, you can incorporate things like that, You can incorporate things like that into your system. All right, so this is it. We're talking about what we can do, the role of nutrition, exercise, and sleep in the life of our children. If we want our children, right, to excel, right, we want them to succeed academically, you want them to succeed in all areas of their lives, you want them to succeed, you want them to be wholesome. It's not just about academic goals, it's not just about building their character, it's also ensuring that these other things that are trivialized but are very important are in place. The last one we're going to be talking about is sleep. Come on now. Some of our children will play video games. They will play video games up until 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock, and all of that. Come on, what's going on? I remember there was this time our son was graduate, was that from year 6 to 7 or 7 to, I don't know, there was just a, okay, no, it was actually in secondary school. And the Japa thing going into his school that period. So that particular term they had a number of his classmates that weren't going to come back. They weren't going to come back, the next school year. I think it was between year 7 and 8. I think just 1 and 2 or 2 and 3. I can't remember which of them. Anyway, I think it was 2 and 3. So a lot of his classmates were leaving that period, and so that weekend, I mean that period, he had come in to ask if he could join a group. They had a group, they were going to hang out, they were going to go for send off. So they were having different send off or send forth or whatever. So they were having different, reason to come together and all of that. So they had asked, so he had asked if if he could give my number for them to add him to one of those groups so that, they can communicate with him also and all that. So at that time, by the way, he was one of the few or the only one in his class that didn't have a phone, and we don't intend to have one anytime soon. All right. So anyway, so he reached, he gave them my number and then they added him. This is how I was sitting down at my workstation and I was working one night between 11 and 1. Hey, it was a school day, weekday school day. Come on now. The messages kept on coming. I'm talking at 11 p.m. I'm talking at 12 p.m. Children were chatting. 11 p.m., 12 p.m., even up to like 1. Children were chatting. And I'm like, what's going on here? I'm talking 12-year-olds, 11-year-olds. Yeah, 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds. And I'm like, what's going on here? By the time I woke up the next day after I dropped my phone to go to bed, by the time I woke up the next day, I'm not kidding you, there were 200, some ridiculous amounts of messages. I'm like, how can any child focus like this? How can any child have this kind of distraction and the child is able to focus and actually grow like a normal human being? Right? So these are some of the issues. We hand our children gadgets that they have no business with. We hand them gadgets that exposes them to God knows how many, how many billion, users are on the World Wide Web. I hope you know that it's not about the number of contacts that your child has on social media or on their phones, on WhatsApp, if you want to think of WhatsApp as not social media, or on any of those apps that the children use, to communicate from what's that yellow app, from Snapchat to Discord, and all of that. It's not just about that. It's the fact that they are online and anyone can actually get access to them. It's the fact that they are online and they can actually stumble on anything at all. But that's not the focus of this conversation. We're talking about why is the child distracted by these things when the child is supposed to be sleeping. All right. So yesterday our son works for me. All right, so he works and he gets paid. There's certain part of my work that he does for me, and he does them and can do them well. Basically, he sets all these meetings. Okay, so he works back office and he can do it, so why not? All right, so he does the back some of the back office work for us. And yesterday at 9, I think it was 8:30 thereabouts, there was something that I needed to be done that had not been done because I was out. I was out running errands earlier, and then I got back and jumped right into the mastermind meetings. We had our meetings, our buddy meetings yesterday. They were fun. So Sundays are, the weekends where we have body meetings are some of the most exciting. They're some of the highlights of my week. All right, because I'm with the children and it's a lot of conversation. It's just lovely listening to fresh minds. It's just lovely listening to masterminds, fresh minds, and it's such a fulfilling thing to know that when you are speaking to those children, we have them in that place. They are young. Parents, they are young. So we know that they are absorbing. That's the thing. The absorbent mind principle. You should go. I mean, I would do that for toddler parents. We will have a conversation about the absorbent mind one of these days. Okay, so they're in that place where nature is pulling them to listen to Coach Mary Beth. So they are listening. Your 5-year-old is listening. She's in that place where all she needs to do is focus and listen for a few minutes, and it sinks because she is in that place where she can listen and learn naturally without stressing. All right. So I love those meetings because in those meetings, I know that I'm passing down convictions. In those meetings, I know that I'm forming mindsets. In those meetings, I know that I'm reinforcing what you're saying in your home. So it's making more sense to your child because now the child is hearing it twice from another person. So yes, it's biblical, it is confirmed. So yes, it is making more sense. Okay. What was I saying that I got here? All right. So basically, all of this is going on. Right. So, oh God, what was I saying that brought me to this gist that I just got carried? See how mastermind just gets me all so excited, you know gets me also excited, right? Okay, so he, by the time I was done with the meetings and all that, we had dinner. He was like, "Okay, mommy, can you give it to me? Let me go and do it now." I'm like, "How? Why? For where? Please go and sleep." Right? Go and sleep. All right. Oh, yes, Pelumi, yesterday we're looking forward to having you also and our partner of mine. All right. So the next cohort of the mastermind, by the way, begins on the 15th. So 15th, we throttle on with our foundation cohort. If your child is not in the mastermind, you're wrong. That's all I can say to you, especially for your young children. See, I'm always talking about the younger ones in the mastermind because my older kids in the mastermind, the senior partners, what we're doing is we're transitioning them to teenage. So to their teenage years, right? So we're building them to be resourceful teenagers. So you should see us when we sit with the older partners. It's a lot of matured conversation. I talk with the 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds that are senior partners. You would think I'm talking to 16 years. In fact, when I'm talking to my 12, 13, 14-year-olds, I speak with them like I'm talking to 16, 18-year-olds because their head is in that space. That's where their heads are. Now, at that stage, we're having like real conversations such that if your child is not even in the space where the child is ready to learn, the child will feel uncomfortable as a senior partner. If the child is not in the space where the child wants to learn, where the child is excited about, meaningful conversations, the child will feel out of place because the children are grounded and have embraced learning and lifelong learning. So that's why I say to parents, bring them, because in the mastermind we embrace everybody and there's a zero shaming policy in the mastermind. We don't shame nobody, we encourage you. Our goal is to move the motivation from external to intrinsic motivation. We want you to begin to do it for you and not just anybody or mommy or everybody chasing you. We want you to do it for you. All right. So for the senior partners, I know where we have them and what we're doing. So it's the younger ones that I'm so, I'm so about, because I'm so excited, and I'm practically screaming over my head. Parents, bring them, bring them, bring your 5-year-olds, bring your 6-year-olds. When you bring them at 5, I have kids with us at the mastermind that have been there for 3 years. They came in at 5, they came in at 6. Now that they are 8 and 10, these children wake up, do all that they do, their tasks, they journal. You will see children in the mastermind journal. You'll be wondering, whoa, they journal, they do their task, they're excited to come for meetings. They are in that space. They've been doing it for 2, 3 years. Now you have 10-year-olds who just join us, and they're there dragging their feet. I don't want, I this, I that, because they didn't start early. So there is that thing about starting early. And when they start early, there's something that the mastermind gives. It's a close knit accountability group. So we see them in the mastermind. We say there's no hiding place. So you can't be in the mastermind and we don't see. We see you. You are involved. You are talking. So it is effective. The accountability is close. It's a daily accountability system because of the group of children we're working with and the phase that they are in their life. There is a training for every phase. So for your 6 year, your for your 5 to 10 year olds, they need close accountability. They need hand holding. They need habit training. They need accountability. They need being seen. They need being called by their, they need being followed up. They want to know. They want you. And so when we come in as mentors, they begin to see us as the other you, or that other adult that they can trust. That's what we're talking about. So that's why it's key. So the mastermind, we close the registration totally on the 30th of this month. After the 30th, we're done till next year when we do the 2026 enrollment. All right, so get on board right now. But induction start, is on the 15th. So 15th we've kicked it, kicked off already. So you can join us, before the end of the month, but 15th we're already on the road moving. Okay, so it's a moving train. Come and join, come and join, come and join. Let's move together. All right, so yes, 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 yes. Sleep, very essential. All right, rest and recovery. Sufficient sleep is essential for physical and mental restoration. After all that work in school, after all the playing around, after all the jumping, the child needs to rest and rejuvenate. It is when they sleep, deep sleep, that is needed, especially that one that they have at night. That sleep that they have, okay? The experts say that we should be sleeping deep between 10 o'clock and 2 p.m. I don't have the facts about that, but it's something that I've read over and over again, between 10 and 2 p.m. deep sleep is needed for rejuvenation and many other things. Okay, so why is your child awake at 10 and 12 and 11? When is their brain going to rejuvenate? Remember, the energy that they're expending is nothing like, what you're expending as an adult is nothing close to what the children expend. So they need to rest. Okay, they need to rest. During sleep, the brain actually resolidates, right? It really, really consolidates memories, processes information, and then it repairs itself. So, meaning if your child is not having enough sleep, your child is not what? The child's brain is not repairing. The child is not, you know, recon- I mean, consolidation of memories not happening. All right, the child's processing information, is not happening as it should be. So these are very important. All right, they need sleep. They need enough sleep to improve their cognitive functions. Very key. I remember back then I had gone to the university, those early in my teens, and I have we were happy. We had just gotten to university. We were having fun, jai and everything. I had some of my friends were very excited and all of that. And so I remember it was Math 101 that we're going to write that day. And we had gone, so of course now it's exam period. So now you are packing everything, you are rushing everything and all of that. So we had stayed up to study, into the night with bread and everything. In fact, we were in the common room that day till 5 a.m. The paper was sometime, I think, around 10 a.m. or something like that, 8 or 10 a.m. I can't remember. Anyway, but I know we read till about 5 a.m. Went to the house, went to our rooms, had a bath, did we even nap again? There was no need now. That's how I got to exam hall though. I sat down and then they brought the script. I blanked out. As in, I can never have given that experience. I've told those experiences to my children. So the experiences that you have, share them with your children. Okay, let them be building blocks upon which you build on other things with your children. I tell my children about my woes, I tell them about my failures, I tell them everything. They have become building blocks upon which we can build our learning, basically. I got into that hall and I blanked out. I couldn't remember. I couldn't think straight. I couldn't remember nothing. I was there drinking coffee with my friends, people that have probably been doing this for, I don't know. I shall go into that exam hall. I couldn't think for the first 20, 30 minutes. I'm not joking. For the first 20, maybe I'm exaggerating, 30, at least for the first 10 to 20 minutes or something like that, I couldn't think and I could not coordinate. So it's not a case of, you're there trying to, I couldn't think, I couldn't, nothing. I was blank. I was totally so a lot of times, because the repair that should happen, because all of these process, because the natural, nature's process for repair and all of that is not happening. We just end up stretching ourselves. And when this happens with children, it can be really damaging. So we want to remember we are also custodians of their destinies. So we are actually guiding them to habits and practices that are positive so that they can imbibe them as early as possible. If you don't do this, you will be the ones that will help, or we will be the ones that will help our children actually, nurture or, imbibe negative behaviors that will be harmful to them even in the future. And then in the future, you'll be one of those that will say, after everything I did for them, beginning that we spoil, and all of that. You will not remember that there were a lot of things that you did that were, that just ended up helping the child, build negative, patterns and habits, and all of that. So very important, all right? Very key. So their cognitive ability, is enhanced by sleep. All right, is enhanced. Concentration, learning, and memory formation. All of this is dependent, on sleep is crucial for all of this to happen. All right. So, emotional regulation, that's the last thing that we're going to talk about. When children have enough sleep deprivation can actually lead to irrational behavior, irritability, mood swings, difficulty in managing emotions, snapping at other people, and all of this. So, all of this, stress, right? Stress on its own, all of this can lead to, emotional imbalance, emotional dysregulation for your child. Remember, the brain is a relational organ, right? And so if there's no stability, if there is all of this stress that is going on, stress actually leads to the release of, hormones that actually inhibits the growth of the prefrontal cortex. So you see, shock and stress, fear, all of that, is a part of it. So let your children create the right kind of sleeping patterns for them as early as possible. Sleep patterns, put that in place so that these children get the right, what they need. All right, so quickly I'm going to just run through your role as a parent in helping your children. Okay, parents play vital roles in guiding their children towards healthy lifestyles. Okay, and so these are some of the things that we can do as parents to help our children and to ensure that our children grow up with the right patterns, with the right, habits and all of that. Number one, provide nutritional meals. Please offer your children a variety of healthy options. offer them healthy options. And as I said, sometimes mix the healthy options with the not so healthy options so that the children can, it's a win-win kind of thing, right? For you guys and everything. Limit processed food, I beg you. Let's limit all the sausages and all the canned meals. Some of us, we fill our entire fridge with all of those things for our mind. This is ajebota. Oh, there's syrup, there's ketchup, there's maple syrup, there's this one, there's that one. All of it processed, processed, processed. There's sausages, there are bacons, there's baked beans, all of it processed. All right, we want to tone it down there, parents. Okay, encourage mindful eating habits in the children. They are eating bread in the morning, bread in the afternoon, bread. Just leave it. He likes bread. He doesn't like bread. Their parents, you have allowed him build that, his taste board to accommodate this, and it can be changed. It is said that it can actually be changed in, is it 7 days, or I don't know the statistics, but basically there's nothing that cannot be changed. Okay, all we need to do is just flip the meals and then begin to encourage healthy eating habits, okay, by introducing healthier options. All right, so let these other things just be treats, what they get once in a while. Create opportunity for physical activities. Encourage your children. Encourage them to play outdoor. Encourage your children to use their hands. Encourage your children to go to go outdoors and play. Basically, you can go to the parks. You can go to the parks. You can run around the house. You can roll tires. You can play sway. You can do skipping ropes. We did all of that. Okay, so I guess that's why some of us, from our generation, there were some of the things that happened that our parents were not exactly intentional about, but the environment and the system at the time availed us these wonderful opportunities. So we played outdoor, we exercised, we did all of those things. And that's why we say today we're rigid, we're strong, we are adaptable, and all of that. It is because we actually honed, or because we actually, did this consistently, basically, and that's how it became a part of us. But our children do not have these opportunities, so imagine what their lives will be like years from now without all of these opportunities. Okay, establish consistent sleep schedules. Have your sleep schedule. Let your children, you know, associate that time with bed. Have a routine or a process that leads to bedtime. When my daughter is 9, she's been read a story every day of her life, or she was read a story every day of her life between when she was 0 and when she was about 7. Okay, now even after that, she would pick a book even at 9. In fact, she's almost 10. When my daughter picks a book, you see her with a book in her hand, you know that she's going to sleep. And sometimes she will still come back to you, right? I'm in the kitchen, I'm working, she will still come, or I'm just chilling. She comes and says, can you come and read me a bedtime story? Now it's pillow talk. Can we go and have pillow talk? But she has a book in her hand. So when you finish your pillow talk, then she'll ask, Mommy, can you read that paragraph for me? So it has become something that practically puts her to sleep. All right. So basically, have a process that leads, so that when that process begins, right, your especially for your younger children, the moment that process begins, their subconscious mind tells them it's time to wind down, it's time to go to sleep. Okay, so establish all of this. Lead by example, dear parents. What are you model the right thing. Educate these children. Let's empower these children. Let us help them understand the why behind these positive habits. Thank you for joining me today. I know you got value from this session. Share with us in the comment section. Okay, Coach Maribel, your energy is stimulating. Thank you very much, ma'am. All right, share with us in the comment section that you got value and what you're taking away from this class. Dear parents, register your children for the Mastermind Circle. Register them for the Mastermind Circle. All you need to do is check in the comment section and you will see sorry, in the comment section you will see the information that you need to register your child for the Mastermind Circle. All right, you can also see it scrolling in the bar right now. Let me see. I'm trying to find that. This things are so small for my eyes. All right. You can also see it scrolling on the, yes. So you can see it right there. You can screen grab that and use that to enroll. It's just 55,000 naira from now to the end of the cohort, the ends of the last day of August. And then in September, we start a new cohort. So get your child on board, and I promise you, you will not regret it. The experience is good and will be good for your child. Thank you for joining me again. I do not take your time for granted, or that you allow me be a small part of your parenting. I don't take this for granted. Thank you again. Have an amazing week ahead. Have a fantastic week ahead. Support these children. They need you. It will make all the difference, the advantage that you give to them. Thank you again, dear parents. God bless you. Bye. Thank you, Pelumi. Thank you so much for all the amazing um, notes that you took for us. Thank you again. Bye, everyone. Bye.